Hello everyone. Here I am presenting you the way I gave my TCS interview and finally cracked it. So, in this video, I would let you know from starting that what are the steps or the procedures that were followed by TCS in order to finally select me in their company. There were in total two rounds. The first being the written round and second being the interview. So, I was a bit scared with the fact that will I be able to clear my written round or not? Too much time was wasted in order to search for the question that had already come. There were questions from four different genres. Questions from quantitative aptitude were asked, covering topics like permutation combination, LCM HCF, time and work, probability, ratio proportion, averages, statistics, and so on. The questions level was a bit difficult for me as compared to the other MNC examination that I had given. So then came the other section, which was reasoning. Number of questions from series were asked: calendar question, seating arrangement, dice, alphanumeric, coding decoding, direction, and so on. Then came the section of English grammar and comprehension. In English section, there were many of the questions that was from the comprehension side. Big comprehension were given, and there were associated 6 to 7 questions from each comprehension that was asked. Certain questions from synonyms, antonyms were asked. Then we were asked to rearrange the sentences, we were asked to spot the error from the sentences, and so on. So then came the another domain that was of technical questions, in which the questions from computer networks, operating system, SQL, DBMS, computer organization and architecture, Java, C, C Sharp, C++, all the questions circulated around these topics only. Apart from this, there were two coding questions as well. So the written test that we gave was on the TCS NQT platform that was conducted by TCS itself. They had their own pattern of conducting the exam and their own pattern to decide who are the top contestants among those students. But I guess the students who were able to do both the coding questions were selected for the higher profile, as apart from the four domains that I had already mentioned, there was one more round of coding in which there were two coding questions that was given to us. So now again, whosoever has topped the written examination had the chance to appear for the higher profile. Now let me explain you the two profile that was presented by TCS. So TCS offered two profile. One was of TCS Ninja that offered a package of 4 LPA, and the other was of TCS Digital that offered a package ranging from 6.5 LPA to 7 LPA. So again, if you are amongst the top performers, then you will get the chance to give the digital interview, thereby landing a package of 6.5 to 7. And if you're not able to qualify that digital interview, again, you will be qualified for that TCS Ninja profile if your interview went good, or up to certain extent went okay also, then you would be qualified for Ninja profile. Whereas if you are the top performer and qualified for the digital profile, and then you gave your interview also well of the digital one, then you would accordingly land into TCS digital profile. Whereas if you have qualified the examination but not amongst the top performers, then you would be called for the interview of TCS Ninja, which gave a package of 4 LPA. So I think that the concept has been clear up till now, and you might be understanding that what is the importance of written things that are asked in the first round itself. So there were around total 12 to 14 questions that was asked to me. There was just one round that was the combination of technical, HR, and managerial. There were three ladies that were presented in a room to me. One was the technical head, and the second one was the HR, and the third was the managerial head. So accordingly, they asked the questions from me one by one from every domain. So the first question that I was asked was to introduce myself. So I gave a very perfect introduction, as I have already told you. So make sure, friends, that when you introduce yourself, each and every word that you are speaking should be very correct and should be embedded in your mind, because the interviewer would ask the question in the same format. Most probably, the way you are introducing yourself, you will be fired the questions exactly in the same way. So, after giving the introduction, I was asked that what projects I have worked upon. So, I told them that I basically know two languages, one is Java and the other is Python. So, I have made the projects on these framework only. That is, certain projects are made by me on the Django framework, whereas certain projects have been made by me on the Spring format. Alright, so I made them understand what my project is and how it worked and so on. Then, after explaining my project, I was asked to write a program in order to print a series. Firstly, a series was presented to me. I had to understand that it was a prime number series. So, once I understood that it was a prime number series, they asked me orally that what series it is and then how you would write the program in order to print that series. So, I told them that this is a prime number series and we write the program in such and such manner. Alright. Then, so the next question that was thrown to me was, what is the difference between int and integer? So I told them that int is a data type, whereas integer is a wrapper class. Then I told them that int helps us in storing integer value into the memory, whereas integer is a wrapper class that helps in converting primitive types into object and objects into primitive types. Int provides flexibility as compared to integer, whereas on the other side, integer is more flexible in storing and manipulating an int data that is a primitive type. Moreover, the int is a primitive data type that takes 32 bits, whereas integer takes much more memory, that is ranging somewhere around 16 bytes. So, since I have explained during my introduction that I have done my project in Django, so they threw me a question that what are views used for in Django? So I told them that Django views are important participants that are used in MVT structure of Django. Then they immediately questioned me about what is MVT structure. Then I told them about model view controller concepts, about the MVT structure and so on. Then they came back again to the same question that what is view. So I told them that view is a function in Python. So a view function is a Python function that takes a web request and returns a web response. So the response that is written by the views could be the HTML contents of the web page, or the response could be a redirect. If something goes wrong, then it may throw a certain form of error. So these is the general definition of the views that I am aware of. So then they threw me a question that what is the difference between Python and Java. So again, this was the pattern of the questions that I was seeing. Every question that was asked to me was somewhere from the resume itself. Since during my introduction I have mentioned that I like to code in Python and Java, so they threw me the question accordingly, and now they asked me the difference between the languages that I know. So I told them that Python has comparatively lesser lines of code as compared to Java, and Java has more lines of code. On the basis of syntax, if we need to differentiate between Python and Java, so Python is comparatively, syntax is easy, but in Java syntax is complex. Moreover, Python is a language that is only interpreted, whereas Java is a language that is both compiled and interpreted. Then I told them that Python is a language that is dynamically typed, unlike Java, which is statically typed. Then I told them that the database that is offered by Python is weak, whereas Java offers the strongest database, that is Java database connectivity. Then again, they threw me a counter question on Java database connectivity. Then the next question that was addressed to me was, what is the difference between runtime polymorphism and compile time polymorphism? Out there in the slide, you can see that I have skipped question 7 because that was the counter questions that was being addressed to me. So again, coming back to the question that was runtime polymorphism and compile time polymorphism. So I depicted my definition by giving the example of a program as well. So I told them that in compile time polymorphism, call is resolved by the compiler. As the name itself suggests, compile time. So call is resolved by the compiler in compile time polymorphism. In runtime polymorphism, the call is not resolved by the compiler. Compile time polymorphism is also known as overloading, whereas runtime polymorphism is also known as overriding. So in compile time, that is in method overloading, as the name again itself suggests that there are more than one methods that have a same name, but the parameters or the signature are different and they return different data type. Alright, whereas in method overriding, it is the runtime polymorphism that has the same method with same parameters, or you can say the same signature, but then they are associated in different classes. So then they asked me in what manner they can be achieved. So I said that it is achieved by function overloading and operator overloading, whereas runtime polymorphism is achieved by virtual functions and by pointers. So they asked me some questions related to pointers, and they asked why Java doesn't support pointers. So I told them that Java is the most secured language that you have ever heard of. Due to the concept of memory leakage, pointers are not supported in Java. Then the managerial head and the HR asked me questions related to managing the things. So they again asked me that why they want me to work in TCS and why not other MNCs. So I gave them the answer that everyone wants to work with the best and be one amongst the best. So I am also following the same tendency. TCS has a brand associated with it, so I would like to work with a brand. Moreover, TCS would provide me a platform, provide me good projects that would help me increase my skills and further improve myself in all the possible domains. So the next question that they throw in front of me was that, will you be able to work in any location that we provide to you or not? So I very calmly said that of course I would very well be able to do the work in any location that you provide. So HR laughed at me saying that okay, we'll make sure that we send you in Andaman and Nicobar to do the work over there. So I said that as far as my progress is concerned, I can go in any place. So then they threw me a counter question that, will your parents be agreeing that their child is being asked to go to such a place? I said that my parents have never served as a hindrance when my progress is concerned. They have the similar type of thinking that I possess. If they are seeing progress of their child, they are happy to send their child anywhere. So they were quite satisfied with the response that I gave. So then they throw me that, do you actually know that what TCS does? So I told them that TCS stands for Tata Consultancy Services. It is basically a software provider, and not just a software provider but a service provider as well. So I then told them that TCS is a part of Tata Group, the huge Tata Group, which has number of overseas companies as their clients, and moreover they have number of technologies associated in which they work, be it communication sector, information sector, engineering sector, and so on. So then I again started giving more and more information that I have dug out in the past. Make sure that whenever you sit for the interview of any company, you have a bit of reference of the company for which you are going. So again, before coming to give my TCS interview, I have researched a bit about TCS, not diving into the deeper details, but at least a superficial portion that what TCS does, why TCS has been in news in the past few days, and so on. So make sure when you go for the interview of any company, you do the same. So I then again kept on telling them that TCS offers a consulting led, cognitive powered, integrated portfolio of business, technology, engineering services, and solution. So they were quite happy to see the way I was explaining things to them, the way I know so much about the company. Why? Because earlier I wasn't knowing these things, but just before coming to sit for the interview, I prepared myself for these stuffs. Then they threw me the question that why you chose to select CSE branch during engineering. So I gave them the response that I am very good at academics. During my 10th and my 12th examination, I have secured very good marks in my computer science subject. That is, in my 10th, I secured 98, and during my 12th, I secured 99, which propelled me that if I worked in this field only, I would be able to achieve great heights. So somewhere during my school days only, I have decided that I would go for computer science engineering only. Then they thought that whether I'm speaking correct or not, they asked me that would you be able to show your mark sheets to me? So luckily I had my mark sheets on the laptop itself in the desktop only. So I immediately showed them my mark sheet, and they were quite satisfied with the answer that I gave. Then they threw the question to me was that what is a session in a web page? That session is a group of user interaction with a website that takes place within a given time frame. Actually, before coming for the interview of one company, I have prepared for this definition. So this definition is there on the web page. So I was exactly thorough with the definition. So I told them this definition, and I told them the way I have used this session in my projects. So they now came to know that I am thorough with the concept, as well as I have implemented this concept in my project as well. So I told them the definition of the session first, and then I told them the application of the session, and then I told them that I have used this session in this manner. So every question, every answer that I was giving to the question that was thrown to me was somewhere or the other portrayed in such a manner that they would come to know that I just don't know the definitions, but I have dived deeper into the concepts as well. Then the last question that was thrown to me was, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? So I told them that in the next 5 years, I see myself being top in the hierarchy of the organization in which I am working. So the HR again smiled at me and said that you mean you want to become the CEO of TCS? So I said that why not? With a blend of dedication and hard work, everyone can make anything possible. So this is a perfect blend of dedication and hard work that can make anyone reach to great heights. And if anyone can do so, then why not me? So in this way, the interview of the TCS for me finally ended. Some questions I missed, some questions I gave the perfect answer that they wanted. So again, I would like to share some tips and tricks that I followed throughout while giving my TCS interview. Firstly, prepare your introduction well. I have already prepared a video for the same. Do watch it to know how to give a perfect introduction. Because you know you are giving your first impression to everyone, and first impression turns out to be a last impression, alright? So make sure that just you are bang on your introduction. Tip 2 is that do not ever try to beat around the bush. If you're not aware of certain concepts, then straight away say to them that sorry sir and ma'am, I am not aware of this thing. They would happily listen to this rather than listening a messy answer, because they are obviously aware what the concept is, how the concept is involved, or what are the basic features that are involved in the concept. So do not ever try to beat around the bush or try to give a wrong answer, because that creates a negative impact. Tip 3 is always be confident. No matter you are knowing the things, you matter you do not know the things, one thing that you should never lose is your confidence. Because if you are confident enough to say anything, if you're confident enough to carry your smile, then it creates a fantastic image in front of the interviewer. Then again, tip 4 lies on the fact that do not lose your temper. The interviewer might scold you for the things that you know you are adept at. The interviewer might make you feel that you are not good for the company. Listen to the interviewer very calmly, because this is not the first and the last interview you are giving. After this, you will probably be giving more interviews. So everything that you are giving, everything that you are listening is a stepping stone towards success. So listen to what the interviewer is saying with full calmness, with full patience. Tip number 5 is again the important one, is be thorough with your resume. One thing that I noticed after giving my TCS interview was that each and every question that the interviewer threw in front of me was entirely related with the stuffs that I had mentioned in my resume. I mentioned Python, I mentioned Django, I mentioned Java. So the major concepts around these three circulated in front of me. So make sure that you are very thorough with the resume. Again, the bottom lies in the fact that make them feel that you are an asset to the company and the company cannot afford to lose you. I hope that my tips and tricks would make you crack any of the interview that you want. So enhance your skill with every passing second of your life. I hope you like the video. Do like, share, subscribe. Bye bye.